Okay, hello everyone. This is session number 2, module 2, basic switch and add device configuration. In the first session, we introduced basically what a network is, the components that makes up a network, the type of topologies that we have, and most importantly, we discussed what makes up a reliable network from fault tolerance, scalability, quality of service, and network security. All right, today we'll focus on the basic of the devices that share dealer nazo, which is the switch. And we'll try to look at kana ukapiwa switch, what is the most basic thing that you need to do. Probably we'll need to introduce as well to switch racho chi in this session. Right. So what are we going to be looking at? Module objective, implement initial settings, including passwords, IP addressing, and default gateway parameters. We're going to be looking at the Cisco IOS access, navigation, command structure, uh, basic device configurations, save my configurations also. We'll look at my ports and how we assign my addresses for my ports, the IP addresses. We'll configure my IP addresses, and lastly, we'll verify connectivity. So basically, these are the things that we're going to be doing. Quickly going into it. Cisco IOS access. Operating systems. What is an operating system? Or maybe going back a little bit, device ratolo dealer analysis is called a switch. Can I write here? Find somewhere I can write something. Okay, right. Switch chi. What is a switch? Right. I think everyone knows my network, my devices, my basic devices that tango shanda now. Tichido gazira a simple network. Tishishansa my PCs, personal computer, or you can say we are going to use my laptops, right? So if I can have a laptop or a PC, a simple network, the most simple network I check is something like this. So this is PC1, this is PC2. Ish. This is our media. It's a cable, right? This is our media, and this is our switch. Right. Let's add another PC here. Let's go to PC3. So this is the simplest network that we are going to have. 3 PCs interconnected using the switch. Switch basarayo it's so that if PC1 wants to send information to PC2, information inosvika paswitch, then switch your director or information kwairofanira kuenda. So if I'm sending from PC1 to PC2, information inouya paswitch panapa, and the switch distributes yoya ku PC2. History switch inobva from a device yatinoti hub. Right, we used to have what we call a hub. Or if you go a little bit back, let me see. If you go a little bit back, my connections are my devices. This is how they were connected. We had media area so. Then we have PC1, PC2, PC3, PC4. This is what we call the bus topology. So my networks matangiro akaita kugadzirwa tandingorine cable. This is our media cable running ichibva from a point, let's just say this point, yotanga kurana ending here. So my PCs anenge are connected to this cable. The problem was, however, if you want to send information to PC2, information yaipinda mumedia once yangopinda PC2 icha receive information, PC3 icha receive information, PC4 receive information. And that was a problem because by definition, this is what we call a broadcast, if I can say. Everyone was listening to my messages. Yes, there was a network, there was communication, but it was a problem. More so if, let's say, PC1 wants to communicate and PC2 also wants to communicate. By my collisions. Because if this one communicates, this one also communicates, they are sharing this medium right here. So information at a collision, no information is being transmitted. That was a problem. So from there, engineers came up with a hub. Hub wasn't intelligent enough though. Wasn't intelligent enough. So hub, instead of having this, so instead of having the bus topology like this one, hub, you could do this with a hub. But it also had the same problem in my collisions because it wasn't intelligent enough. If you want to send information from PC1 to PC2, for example, every device will receive that information. So if I'm sending information here, this is our hub. Every device in the network will receive that information. And it's a problem. Security-wise, it's a problem if you have a hub, right? Now, Tikavapa hub, we now have development a switch. A switch is intelligent enough to know could information iri kusenderwa to what specific device. So those switch radio. So if we have 1, 2, 3, switch rinoziva kuti information ikanzi iri kuenda device number 2. You know, up you end this device number 2 and only device number 2. Switch ikaudzwa kunzi information iri kuenda kuma devices ese in the network, which is what we call a broadcast. This is a very important term, by the way, broadcast. Meaning we are sending information to every device in the network. Switch rinoziva we are sending to PC2 and 3, which is every device in the network. So that is what we call a switch. Ndo basa raro. So in a network, let's say per company, you have a big company in a, let's say in a 20 my employees, 20 my PCs. How do you connect 20 my PCs per organization? So probably kuna fiber ichapa from outside, yet not ISP, which is our service provider, probably a telco, or let's say tier 1, the most common. Tier 1, do ISP yenyu, fiber youya, yosvika pa POP, vanogona basa vaitora, yopinda mucabinet, yosvikira probably pa router or a switch. 20 my PCs, this is a small thing. So mune switch, this is your cabinet, right? Then painosvika switch rako rine 24 my ports, kunoku ndo kune table yedu, ndo pane ma PCs edu ari 20 kunoku. Then my LAN cables orana kunoku, every port richiya kunoku, every port richiya kunoku, every port richiya kunoku. Tatoita setup a network, zvese zvirikubva pa switch like this. So this is our office irapa. Kwatatangira tabva ku ISP, wataisa fiber medium ichiya pa POP, yopinda mu cabinet redu, pa switch redu. This is the port yari kupinda nayo fiber, switch redu rakasimba. Fiber yapinda, then switch redu rine ma ports, let's say rine ma ports 24. Pa ma ports 24 ndo patava kurana manga ma cables achibva ipapo, achiuya kuma PCs edu. That's how you connect to the internet. So imimi zvamunozoona muri muoffice menyu, it's probably my ports something like this. Pangori neport apo unozongosvika uchipfekera cable yako. But uri kupfekera cable pa ipapo, where is the information going after that? So umu ndo mune maports aya, mawo ports anenge aripo aya. Then kuseri kwacho ndo kune cable iri kurana yoenderera kuswitch. Then ichibva pa switch information, if you want to connect to the internet, yeah, pa fiber yobuda yodzokera ku ISP, kana ichidzoka inodzoka neapo yoenda pa port yainofanira kuenda ichidai so. So this is the basic function of a switch. And today we'll learn yet not the basic configuration. Configuration, look at it as my settings. Phone yako ina ma settings. Unochinja brightness, unokwanisa kuchinja brightness, unokwanisa kuisa kudark mode, kuchinja masettings ikoko so that it functions the way you want it to functions. Munochinja wallpapers, a lot of things that you can do. Munochinja ringing tone, settings. It's the same thing that we do on my devices edu, my Cisco devices, my switch, my routers. We change my configurations to fit how we want our devices to function. Right. So going back to our slide, I think briefly that was what switch key, very briefly. Let's continue. Let's look at an operating system. What is that? Basically, an operating system is a software that runs a computer hardware, if I can say. If we look at our phone, I think most of us, maybe not most of us, mine is an Android. I think that's my operating system. Wangu waishandisa operating system yemafoni iPhone inonzi iOS. Vane iPhone. A little bit of interaction things what mune one. Vane iPhone operating system inonzi, I think it's iOS. Vane iPhone. Okay, we have something in the chat.
Panenge pasina.
iOS. Right, iOS, right. That's your operating system. So what is it? It's a software which allows you as the user, you interact with the software. Kuti inini ndoda kuchinja masettings akati. So you are interacting with the operating system. Then the operating system interacts with the hardware. Kuhardware ndokunochinjwa zvinhu. So foni yako mukati mune hardware irimo, matransistors, tunhu twakangowanda wanda turimo imomo. That's the hardware. Your RAM, that's the hardware, right? So you as a user know the software kuti inini ndoda kuchinja chakati, which is the operating system. Then operating system interacta nehardware kuti isusu toda kuchinja chakati. Then hardware ndo inochinja. Then you see the changes that you see on your phone. It's the same thing kuma Cisco devices edu. So switch, we want to change how a switch functions. For example, toda kuvhara maports. Tine 24 maports, toda kuti mamwe 20 maports asashande at all, so that vanhu havasaite access to the internet. Probably guys are tampering with maports iwawo. So we give a command to the switch via the operating system kuti we want to change this. Then the operating system talks to the hardware kuti hardware user ari kutaura kuti maports akati akati ari kuvharwa. Then hardware ndo inonovhara maports because that's the physical thing chiripo padevice yedu. So basically that is what the operating system is. Now to summarize, being a bit more technical, the operating system in 3 components. In yatinoti the shell. Now zvinhu zviri apa izvi ndo very important for the exam. Me talking a lot is trying to get you understand kuti tiri kutaura nezvei, but you need to understand the technical things kuti tizokwanisa kupinda muexam tichipasa. So the shell ndokwatatangira kuna user, interaction with the user. Kana uri paphone, the shell is your screen, right? That's the graphical user interface. Your screen, uri kubaya-baya pascreen, right? You are interacting with the screen. That is what we call the shell. Kuma Cisco devices edu, shell yedu we interact with command line interface. Right? Command line interface. This is what we call the command line interface. All right, I'm going to drag one device pan up. Let me just drag this router. And it is so somewhere, right? All right, let me just drag this router. Let's try to find our command line interface. This thing is causing me problems. Right. This is our command line interface. Voila, this is the command line interface. It allows you to enter text-based commands so that you change the configurations of a device. Tine command line interface, tine graphical user interface. So graphical user interface, you interact with the screen uchibaya. Like for example, my PC, ndikashandisa mouse ndikaklika pane router, something changes. That's the graphical user interface. Something chiri visual. Then we have the command line interface. It's text based. So you write something, then my configurations will change. So those two types of interfaces, graphical user is a bit easy to use. Some of my devices are where, for example, we have MikroTik. I know of MikroTik. It uses a graphical user interface. It's user friendly. So munhu wese ukangotenga switch reMikroTik unokwanisa kutongoclicka clicka uchitoti ndodaisa IP address wotonzi isa uchiclicka. That's very easy. But my devices, for example, my Cisco devices, they use command line interface, which is text based. And they can all go deep in networking. You see graphical user interface, which is cheap. Command line interface, though unotangira networking is proper. So the shell represents that command line interface, that interface with the user. Paunoisa ma commands are so that you change my settings. Then the kernel represent the core. Probably this is the core of the operating system, right? This is where um this is where the process management, if I can say, the memory management is done. So if you request something, the kernel from the shell, the kernel is responsible for saying, okay, the user has requested this, so I want to communicate with the hardware so that hardware changes this. Right? So the kernel communicates between the hardware and the software of a computer and manages how hardware resources are used. So this is where process management is. Okay. I think I had a network problem there. Someone, can you hear me? I need some feedback. Teams go to screen rango repo and you can hear me so that we continue.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, thank you. Right. So we were
A second
discussing.
ago, Pambeta, my challenges.
Okay, so we were discussing the shell. We started with the shell and we said the shell, this is where we have the command line interface where the user interacts with the device, with the operating system. We have the kernel, which is responsible for managing my resources of our software. Then we have the hardware, and this is the physical part of our device, including all the underlying electronics. As you can see from the image, radio inside here. Domine, I think I can see my processors, Edu. We have the CPU, we have the RAM and I think this is the transistor. So that is the hardware. So ndo inozoita changes SAY. Operating system done. The importance of operating system and understanding it is so that you know the type of operating system yarudhila nayo. RAM yacho yakakura sei, the memory, if I can say, memory yakakura sei, how fast is the processor. So zvese zvinofambidzana so that kana uri engineer ari kudesigna network haungotore switch chero, unotora switch knowing the type of operating system that is using. It leads you kuma specifications kuti uziva kuti switch rinofunctiona for this set of network yandoda kuisa ndeipi, because ukashandisa switch risiriro uda kuconnecta 1,000 people pachapushwa gigabytes of information. It will probably not be possible ukashandisa operating system isina capacity to handle that. Right, the graphical user interface, it allows users to interact with the system using an environment of graphical icons, menus, and windows. So like I was saying, my phone Adam and my graphical user interface, you know, click. It's the same thing in the Windows, right? You have the mouse hovering around, right? Or click as or click. That is what we call the graphical user interface. It is more user-friendly, requires less knowledge. Everyone at this point knows ndokwanisa kumove mouse yangu ndichienda pandiri kuda kuenda, etc. We now also have the command line interface. Okay, they didn't get through that. The command line interface, another example command line interface. I'll give you, if you go and type my PCNU CMD, command prompt, right? This allows us to change my settings, a PCNU, not change, but for example, request. I can request the IP address, the simple things, IP config, or I can request the IP address PC yangu using that command, right? This is the command line interface. So I've entered a text-based command ipconfig or, and I get information back. The information, it will do that the host name, it's silence, the connection specific, I think it's still using the one that use it. What else? This is the IPv6 address. This is the IPv4 address. This is my subnet mask. There is no default gateway. So I've entered a text-based command and doing that response depending on the command running and ISA. So this is what we call the command line interface. So I take to set up a command line interface. All right. Purpose of an OS. PC operating systems enable a user to do the following: use a mouse to make selections, run programs, enter text and text-based commands. I think that's basic. That's the basic operation of an operating system. The command line interface-based networking OS enables a network user to do the following: use a keyboard to run CLI-based network programs, use a keyboard to enter text-based commands, view output on a monitor. So you can see on my left panel, I have, this is the graphical user interface. I can click the screen, click up against the recycle bin, to open a recycle bin. But with CLI, you have to type text. So maybe you type text, you go to open recycle bin. Then you get access to what is in the recycle bin. That's the difference between those two. Graphical user interface, command line interface. Let's go. Access methods. When we talk of access methods, it's basically how you get access to the switch or to the router. So you see switch the router, and like I just say, for those who don't know, Saturday do visitors to let's say switch. Switch. Let me see. Right. I know my switcher. So switcher I'm got something like this. This is the device ruler. Okay, my network is a bit slow. I think I are going again. Right. So that's the hardware part. As you can see, my ports I have highlight kwapa. This is a switch. Apana screen rilipo. It means zvakatutaura zvekuti interaction with the switch using the graphical user interface zvinobvepi because hapana screen up. Entering my text-based commands so that you change my settings switch anobvepi because hapana screen riripo apa. Chingori chebox like this one, rine maports are now. So when you talk of my access methods, it's methods that we have that allows us to interact with the switch. So today mainly three. Number one, the console. So the console allows us to connect using our PCs or our laptops. This is the console cable. So you take cable yako, you connect one end to switch, one end to laptop. Then you get access to change the device settings of the switch using your laptop. So the laptop pako ndo pawakuona the command line interface and you change zvinenge zviri switch. So the console, this is the physical management port used to access a device in order to provide maintenance, such as performing the initial configurations. So this is the initial access method that you can have using a console cable, that blue thing. On Saturday, those are negative details of this. Right, then we have another access method, it's SSH. This one is used to remotely access your switch device in a network. So as we will go, you will see switch radio at some point is your IP address. a device ikapiwa IP address, it means we can access it over the internet. So if there is a connection to that device, then we can have access to that device over the internet. So we can remotely manage, remotely configure pasina console cable. Initial setup, unotofanira kuisa console cable. Kana waisa console cable, then oisa masettings ekuti we want to manage this device remotely, oisa IP address, then we'll be able to manage it. So with the console cable, it means you need to be there. Ni switch rako riri ipapo. Owana access, otangwaisa masettings. With SSH, it's remote. It means ndakagara pandiri panapa, office yangu iri kuUZ, I can access my switch over the internet. Then I make my settings, I change whatever I want to change on that device. So these are, then the last one, Telnet, yangofanana ne-SSH. In that, it's also a remote way of accessing your device. The only difference there is secure shell is more secure. Security-wise, it's more secure. The information that is being sent is encrypted, right? With Telnet, the information that is being sent over the link Rauru Configuranaro is being sent as text-based, plain text. So it means if you send using Telnet, could I want to change this device password to silence? It means Munaga intercepted that link. I not want the same things on your right. I want to change this device name to silence. But with secure shell, that information is encrypted. Chaunona ma hashtag nema numbers the chi. That is what encryption is. So 3 main ways of accessing our device: the console, the SSH, and the Telnet. We'll look at those per practical, but practical. Right, my terminal emulation programs. Waisa console yako? Does it mean the laptop yako automatically knows? There's a question. Maybe. Okay, thank you. All right. Terminal emulation programs. Ukaisa console, does it mean automatically laptop yako yakutoziva kuti pane switch riri ipapo? So pakuda command line interface or pakuda graphical user interface, it does not automatically know that. There are tools or applications that we use that allows us to get access to our device. My tools, my programs actually mainly, and the one we'll be using the PUTTY, putty pronunciation is OCM, PUTTY. So it's just an application. Do I have it here? Let me see. Right, I have it. It's just an application, this one, which is used to get access to your switch. So if you are connecting using SSH, let's say I know the IP address of device yangu up 192.168.9.10. Otoita enter. That application allows you to link to your device remotely. But here hatina device ratinaro. If kana unoda connector using console, tunouya serial pana. Kana toda connector using SSH, tunouya pana. Kana toda connector using Telnet, irape. Toyapa other, then we have our Telnet there. But mainly, we use SSH in a serial. Why? Because Telnet is not secure. Right. So if you want to go serial, dopa unoisa cable. Ukaisa cable, oti serial, dototi open up. Zeroti switch rangu rinovhara vhura, rinovhara ndiendesa command line interface, rinovhara ndiendesa right, not here. Let me see. Packet trace and everything. There it is. Rinovhara ndivhurira richienderesa apa directly apa. Ndo pane command line interface yerouter yangu apa. Then I can start making my changes. Ndinokwanisa kuita etc. takutofamba. Right. Can we download? Yes, you can download. It's a very small application. I am pushing on 10 megabytes. Very small. Right. So ndoma emulation, the emulation program. Mangwanashandiswa, we have Teraterm and Secure CRT. They do the same thing. They allow you to get access to your device. Right. This is Zoka Packet Tracer. Let's demonstrate a little bit how we get access to device ready using All right, you terminal 2 ready. All right, I have a router and I sub. Let me put a switch. All right, this is a 2090 switch. There is sub. Let me put a PC. Think about tarisa chichiona this is how unongo uchingodrega madevices auroda kuisa wototanga setup network yako. So I put my PC, play around with this. Hapana chinofa. This is a software. Chikafa you uninstall or install a chinga. Hapana kana chinofa ipapo. So this is our PCs, this is our routers, this is our switches. So ndo pachatambira mainly pama switch, pama routers, pama PC. As well as paneka main ako. That is the media. You cannot have a network without media. So different types of media. Ziripo, ye blue yo, that is our console cable. That's the one we are going to use. So ndaisa PC yangu, ndaisa switch yangu. Now I want to have the initial access to my device. Initial access T is always using the console cable. So you connect console cable yako pa PC, connect pa port runs RS232. Port runs RS232. If you look at this, those are like this. This like this. Irapa. Ichich. Those runs RS232. Chinenge chine tuma buri kumbere so. Right. If you don't have that port pa laptop rako like me, you have an adapter unoisira kumberi uko. No converter this to USB. Then you connect USB pa laptop yako. This end in a RJ45 connection. You end up your device. Right. So pa simulation 2 yedu since a bit more physical kuzviona, but here I've connected pa RS232 pa PC yangu, then ndoenda pa switch. You can see my ports akawanda ari kubuda pa switch apa. Switch rangu rine ports, port console rine fast ethernet ports. We'll learn about what the fast ethernet port is, but ndo pauno connect ipapo kuti uwane internet. Pa laptop yako, if you do have, I think you have a port router. It's probably a fast ethernet port as well, right? Pamunoisa cable should connected to the internet, right? So if switch ready rine 24 ma fast ethernet ports, rine 2 ma gig ethernet ports. Port randiri kuda inini console because ndo not allow kuita initial setup. So console cable yedu yapo done. Now ndo click a PC yangu. PC yangu ine most importantly the desktop. Simulation 2. Desktop iyo yakangofanana ne desktop pa laptop yako. Ini desktop yangu is like this. Hey, hopefully hapana zvinhu. Hey. Right, this is my desktop. Right? It's the same desktop iri pa simulation 2 apa. Pa desktop pako ndo pane zvinhu zvauchada kushandisa and all. So pa desktop pe simulation 2 yedu pane how to change our IP configuration. Pane inonzi terminal. This is our terminal 2 So this is our PUTTY pa simulation 2 yedu. So ndikaclicka terminal 2 yangu, manumbers anga muchimboona 19.6. I think pandavhura party ndikaenda pa serial. Let me go again. You were seeing my numbers iwaya. It's the same numbers are going up and the serial number speed 9600 is the same speed going up because the simulation 2 is trying by all means to simulate zvinenge zviripo in my live networks. Right, click OK. Where do we go from there? Tapinda muchi switch redu. That's how you get to access the switch. Tapinda switch redu, then you start making my changes, my configurations. Aunofana kuita. So ukasvika pa company pa interview, hey, let me stop there. I can see we have 1 minute left. I think by now you know the deal. Let's end this one. Tupinda using the same link. We continue from there.